Bar Rescue is a popular television show aired on the Paramount Network. It's about a guy, Jon Taffer, who goes around to the most disgusting and failing bars and uses his knowledge of running a successful bar and years of experience to try to bring these poor bars back to life. Some bars are so stuck up in their failing ways, they just don't appreciate the help and refuse to make the changes, and this does not sit well with Jon Taffer. In today's video, we'll be looking at 7 times Jon Taffer completely loses his temper. Before we get started though, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and make sure you like the video. Now let's get started.
This is my showtime walk.
Underground Wonder Bar. This one is a story in which Taffer may have actually been in the wrong. The Underground Wonder Bar had been a huge music venue for over 2 decades until they moved into a preppier neighborhood in Chicago. A once popular bar had been reduced to nothing, and Taffer's idea seemed really strange. He wanted to make the bar all about bacon. Yep, you read that right. Gone with the tapestries and with them in the culture, now the vegan owner was being forced to serve bacon and play horrible music. When she'd finally had enough, she told him she didn't like some of his ideas, and Taffer seemed to be having a bad day because his eyes looked like he was ready to attack.
I got a problem here. Look at the difference in color of these, John.
The Sandbar. One thing viewers have learned is that nobody messes with Miss Taffer. While trying to convert this failing jazz bar into something that people would actually want to visit, Taffer had to put up with a very irritating OBGYN owner. Initially, his comments weren't too out of line and Taffer was dealing with her pretty harshly. They proceeded to get more and more rude. What really got Taffer's blood boiling was when the owner made an inappropriate comment about his wife, and I think if the cameras hadn't been rolling, a full-on brawl would have erupted. You should have seen the look on Taffer's face. He was close to leaning over and landing a punch.
It all now on me. I gotta somehow pick up the slack for everything that Raul used to do for this bar, and he used to do a lot.
The original hideout. 2 brothers knee-deep in debt, and a Jon Taffer trying to get them back on their feet. What could possibly go wrong? If you've watched enough Bar Rescue, then you may have guessed the brothers didn't appreciate the help and were very vocal about it. Usually Taffer would take this into consideration, but when these 2 boys have had no other chances at survival, maybe it isn't time to blurt out their list of demands. How do you expect someone to give you a renovation when you literally have 0 money being kept for yourself? Taffer finally blew up when the 3rd brother ran away from the camera crew, possibly due to anxiety, and was inches close to smacking one of the owners on the head.
I'm gonna have to do something that I wasn't expecting to have to do.
Pirates Tavern. Pirates Tavern is exactly what it sounds like, a pirate-themed tavern complete with employees dressed as pirates. It looked and sounded like a discount version of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Taffer tried to make it more welcoming by transforming it into a sophisticated bar with a dress code that didn't involve pointy hats. Not only was the owner having none of it, none of the other employees wanted to act normally. Everyone missed the craziness that was their pirate aspects. Taffer was surprised beyond belief because he'd assumed the workers would do anything to get rid of themselves with ridicule. When the employees claimed that they were quitting because of Taffer's changes, he couldn't cope and had to hold himself back when his fish tried to go flying.
Because right now you see their faces, are they happy? Okay, so what can you do about it? Because you got to do something.
Portland's Tonic. Taffer was greeted by one of the worst bands he's ever heard of in an empty room. Doesn't that sound like the intro to a disaster episode? It sure does. After working heavily on the branding of this bar as well as changing the name to the Panic Room, Taffer was enraged when he heard how the employees were essentially ruining the bar's reputation by answering the telephones with inappropriate language. He blew up on them, and there was huge screaming matches which ended in Taffer having to leave for a breather. Those people are lucky he has good control of his temper because the fury radiating off him could have scared anybody.
A bikini bar teetering on the brink of failure.
Canyon Inn. What do you do when you're trying your hardest to help someone who refuses to take your advice? Taffer had to deal with some very difficult owners in Canyon Inn. Not only had they been serving canned soup to the customers, they were also hitting at Taffer's ideas being horrible. In what world is "please don't serve canned soup" a horrible idea? With all of his brilliant ideas being shot down, Taffer was somewhat irritable, which is understandable. Then when they said once more they would not stop serving their horrible canned soup, Taffer lost it. Instead of throwing a cake like everybody suspected though, he walked straight out. And that will wrap up today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.